You've fallen into an empty crater. You've just lost the one thing you can't live without. Now you're drifting into a place you can't escape from. Doesn't seem at all uncommon, does it, James?
There's nothing psychological about it. A goods lorry collided with the bus. Being watched over, day and night, there's nowhere to live.
It's for your own benefit.
I've become a target for people to exploit. I walk into a bar, people start asking questions. I walk into a shop, people start asking questions. I sit down and I think to myself, just what have I done to make myself feel proud? You know what the answer is? Nothing.
So, how much do you know about illegal trade?
Not more than I need to.
No more than you want to? Look, James, this isn't an interrogation. I'm just curious to know if you've had any involvement. Work, outside hours, maybe with the police.
Don't bring him into this. You know as well as I do he's been let go.
Because he was unfit to carry his responsibilities forward. Like you, he's been a victim of trauma. Don't suspect I think he had anything to do with it.
I was involved for a time.
Doubt it would hurt your reputation if you were. Look, long story short, you've been caught on tape. Apparently reported dealing. Not the best way to go given your circumstances, is it?
That's not what it looks like, Oscar.
Isn't it? Look, I think it's time we found you another social worker.
No.
Or a friend, or...
No.
What about Henry? What about Henry?
Fine. If that's what you want. So, what happens now?
I'll speak to Henry. Try to get you back into his good books. Might take a little persuasion, though.
Don't exhaust yourself, Oscar. He's the least of my priorities right now.
I know. The likes of your little business deals to attend to. Don't think I'm going to let this go over my head, James. If I were you, I'd watch what I got up to. Look, I know how you must feel. I've lost my fair share in my time. Sometimes you need to realize too much ambition can get the better of you.
James, how you doing?
Sydney, listen. I need to talk to you, mate.
Don't tell me.
I don't think the money's safe. Not with you, anyway.
The deal's between us. Everything that we do is confidential.
I think I need to keep hold of it for a while. I don't want Henry finding out what we're up to.
James, a deal is a deal, alright? I'll be at the Pearl Maiden at 7 on Saturday. Be there. You've led yourself down the wrong road, Mr. Hawke.
Maybe. The trick is, no one's changed direction.
Well, would it now be a good time to start? Given that you've arrived 10 minutes late, I must confess I'm a little bit disappointed. But when you've been playing the game as long as I have, you tend to take formalities for granted. Now, down to business, I believe. You know, the internet, it's a fragile network. It services just about every form of media. It's fast, reliable, and rapidly adapting. But despite its ingenuity, it's led itself down the wrong road. Just like you, Mr. Hawke.
You've read up on my profile, haven't you? Find out enough about me?
Would you like me to sum it up in a word? You know, when I looked through your records, I discovered two fascinating things. Firstly, you're someone that's earned much more than the average man would in a lifetime. Quote, honorable man saves US military base. And secondly, you're someone that's lost more than the average man would in another. Quote, honorable man arrested. Suffice to say, you're clearly a man that's bitten off more than he can chew.
It was all the same to you, Sydney. I like to keep things close to my chest.
Apparently not everyone else agrees. I know your career's gone pretty much downhill. As a military engineer these days, I can imagine how pretty tied up you've been. I'm not surprised that your case was overlooked.
I had very specific job requirements, Sydney. I was responsible for a hell of a lot. Sometimes, I think maybe too much.
I want to give your career a second chance, James. You came to me in a bad conscience and clearly you feel guilty about what you did. But if you really want to clear your name, I would demand something a bit more profitable.
Knew I couldn't win you over that easily.
I'll agree to your 3,000. I wouldn't want to overcharge a new customer.
Deal.
You know, I got a phrase for clients who fuck up.
Really?
It's a little idiom I came up with after a few clients didn't oblige by their contract. It's called letting the bullet slide. You know why I call it that? A bullet is a hard, deadly piece of metal. As you know, you fire it from the barrel of a gun and it goes in a straight line. Granted, if it hits its target, problem solved. But say something gets in the way, your target's blocked. Then your only option is to pray that the bullet slides past the obstacle and still manages to hit the target. I mean, you know it's never gonna happen. But when you're in a bit of a predicament, and you know the man who hired you to help take down the target is watching you, then your only option is to cover up the truth with a lie you know you can't hide.
You know, I really wish I could feel sorry for you, James. I really do.
Well then, why don't you?
Well, I've got to look at things from your point of view, haven't I? You know, I mean, you've got low self-esteem, no motivation, and all I'm trying to do is point you in the right direction, that's all.
Well, we both have our differences, don't we?
And what's that mean to me?
I mean, don't beef up the conversation all the time. Look, you've got everything under the sun you wanted. You've got fame, fortune.
So if you care to look.
And you've landed in a pretty decent promotion. As far as I see it, we're travelling in opposite directions.
Let's forget about my promotion, shall we? Let's look at what you've got. Yeah? Let's look at your life. How the hell do you get a job in the first place? You ain't got a clue how this all works.
Does that define the rationale of a military engineer to you, Henry? Anyway, it's conversation over.
You know, I used to know someone just like you.
Really?
Yeah. Army engineer. Just like you. Well, much less of an ego.
What happened?
One thing led to another. You know. He wasn't the best decision maker, and well, he was no hero. I mean, when I met him, his relationship with people wasn't very good. But, as I was saying, very much like you, a man of many colours.
How did you meet him?
Good luck. This was his.
Medal of Honor. Definitely a lucky bastard.
Yeah. Well, he deserved it. Not the way you'd expect either. He told me there's two things you never pass up in life. A good career, a good social life. And he wanted both. The trouble is, when the time came, he could only choose one. I mean, he had all the right skills and that for his job, and he'd made some friends. Whether they're meaningful or not, well, that's anyone's guess. Anyway, after many years at the top of his game, he suddenly realised he'd lost his way in life. He'd been so wrapped up in his job, dealing with war and terrorism and that, he forgot what was most important to him.
Which was what?
His friends. Those that had got him to where he was. Anyway, eventually one of them contracted some sort of disease and had to go away, and, well, it was decision time. He had to decide whether he was going to follow and help his friend or, you know, carry on a rite of passage.
So what did he do? Give up on his dream?
Perspective, isn't it, James, eh? Perspective. He made the right decision, I think. Decided to follow and help his friend.
And the medal? An act of kindness doesn't win over an award like that.
What do you think? Here, I'll tell you what. You have it, you decide.
Of all the times to give it to me, I don't think now's the right one, Henry.
Well, tough, isn't it, mate? You keep it. And if you don't want it, well, I'll buy it back off you again someday. Anyway, look on the bright side, mate. At least with this promotion, I can safely keep a watchful eye on you.
Yeah, well, now we're on the front page. I'd be more worried about other people.
Why, what do you mean?
That our lives have become the investigation.
A broken friendship that can't be fixed. Don't get all swallowed up in grief, Henry. Your mind will never be able to take the strain.
What's this?
Doesn't concern you, Henry. Come on, sit down. Didn't invite you here to look over my old records.
So, all your secrets hidden in, are they, Oscar?
Only the ones that need to be. A couple of years on the job, trust me, you'll think twice. I used to be a psychic, if you really want to know. So, you didn't bump into your old buddy on the way here, did you?
Yeah, sadly I did. Hardly the cooperative psychic he used to be.
Still have at least 1 ounce of friendship left between you, don't you?
No, you might think that, but I'd hardly call exercise caution the basis for a mutual friendship.
And I wouldn't call your sentiment towards him the trademark of common enemies. You'd do well to take my advice from time to time.
Sorry, Oscar, but I just wish I could see him more as a friend.
Well, friendship works both ways. Where I'm sitting, the decision's down to you.
You know the side effects you mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think they'll last?
It's not an easy thing to pinpoint. I mean, for some people the trauma lasts a few months, others it can last a lifetime. It depends upon the individual.
And James got the same symptoms, hasn't he?
You know, you both have a lot more in common than you like to believe.
Symptoms included.
I bet you wouldn't be surprised if I told you are my most assessed patients.
Oh, tell me about it. 4 appointments a week is pushing it.
You know, when people talk about the successes in life, they never stop to think about the potential backlash. I mean, earning a gold star and getting a bucket full of cash is one thing, but living with the consequences is another.
I'm a police officer, Oscar. You don't need to remind me about justice.
You're my prime example. You're not a police officer. You rose above your old life. You wore the badge of an inspector.
I was revoked.
But the mentality stayed the same.
So what are my consequences then, Oscar?
Living with yourself. Because to me, it's not the mentality that's changed. It's your ambition, it's your motivation. All the things that set you on the right path.
Power comes with a price.
Exactly. Giving in to obsession's not a wise thing though, is it? So what's your obsession with James?
Well, I've been following him. I've got photos lined up at the station. You know, to remind me of an old life. Keep it close to hand.
Obviously you still miss his company.
If we could see eye to eye, but yeah, maybe I wouldn't have to. I mean, if we could just find some common ground, if we could just discuss our differences, then maybe we could get back to the way that it was.
Then where would that leave your future? You'd have a friend with no career.
If I could get my job back, I'd fall on my feet faster than I learned to pick myself up.
And you just proved my point. Maybe you can read the subtext of this footage. If anybody can break the fourth wall with James, it's you.
Looks like Mr. Incognito didn't let the bullet slide after all.
Not yet. Better me than you anyway.
So, you got everything set up?
Cash in hand, 580 quid.
You're a man of action, James.
I'll look up to you as a friend before long.
A man of secrecy, remember? That's how trade works.
Not behind closed doors, is it?
I don't make a habit of trusting men like you. You know, I won't always give you credit for helping me.
If you have any doubts about what James does to satisfy his isolation, now's the time to reconsider. You know what he's up to. Well, I happen to know that he's been involved in various business deals, and from the date of the recording, he was in good form with you when it happened. He wouldn't let such crucial information slip by. So what's the deal then? Well, I know he hasn't had a lot to go on. I guess he just misses the good life.
Misses it? Wouldn't shut up about it. Of course he misses it. Yeah. Probably give an arm and a leg to get it back.
So, you got any leads?
Got a few. Friends, colleagues. Don't worry, Oscar. I'll get to the bottom of it. Mind you, though, they're not always that cooperative, so yeah, it's not always easy to get information in this business.
Well, you're the inspector. Maybe it's time you start investigating.
For you, Oscar, I'll try.
Oh, before you go, I've got a fitting approach to the drugs angle. Something I'd rather remain hidden, if you don't mind.
Something you share with me?
Of course. Part of the job's knowing who to trust.
surprised. With no strings attached, men like that would do anything. So, did you see him enter the car park?
Well, he passed over there, jumped over the ramp at full speed. I'm surprised he didn't knock his bloody mirrors off.
What time was that?
Dunno, about 5 o'clock. I was just on my way back home after work. Traffic was manic.
So what happened next? Did you see him leave?
I don't know, I wasn't really paying much attention. But I did catch a man looking a bit paranoid over a briefcase, and that's about it.
That wouldn't be him. He wouldn't show himself up in public.
Could have fooled me. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get caught driving like that.
Driving fast, was he?
Yeah, like a maniac.
Okay. All right, thanks very much for your help.
You know you'll get more help in here than you will out there. Why not just come to me first?
Well, what can I say? Public opinion matters. Yeah? Anyway, no, I just wanted an unprejudiced view, that's all.
I'm not prejudiced, Henry. I just don't like to give corrupt businessmen second chances.
Well, neither do I. No? You know, we're all schemers, aren't they?
I'll make a copy. So you need my help again? You know where to come. No.
What?
That's Sidney Callahan.
My God. Hey, it looks like you're right for once.
You're welcome.
He's not even covering for him, is he?
No. Why would he? Sidney always likes to play the game by himself.
Are you positive?
Trust me, Henry. It's him.
You got his address?
Yeah. Let me just take a look.
You dealt with him before?
Yeah, about 6 months ago. Fucking nasty business, though, I tell you that now. Your friend Oscar helped out a bit.
You would have thought someone like that would have been caught by now, wouldn't you?
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you? Thing is, there was never enough evidence last time. All the time for that, come to think of it. Right. There's your man.
No, thanks. Cheers.
Great afternoon for thrill seeking. Now, I wouldn't go looking for my stuff if I were you. I keep all the hardcore evidence locked away inside my office.
Sidney, I knew you'd slip up. Client of yours at the office gave me your address. You really should try to cover your tracks a bit better in the future. Anyway, good day for an arrest, wouldn't you say?
That's entirely your call, but I would say that's a bit out of your league, wouldn't you? I mean, you barely got a cent to your name anymore, Henry.
Don't pretend you know me.
I don't need to. The reputation speaks volumes. Read the news one day and there he was. Clear as day. Headlines don't lie, Henry.
So what have you done with them then?
What have I done with what?
Come on, Sydney. You've been playing this game long enough. You know what.
Always one for making brash decisions, aren't you? Did James put you up to this? I didn't think you had any friends left in the field. You know, these places, you always think that they're kept nice and quiet. Apparently, you can't even get any privacy even underground.
You were trading, weren't you?
I was showcasing. Just trying to do a helpless man a favor, but you, on the other hand, you gave up on it. Left him to get pampered by someone just desperate for a little bit of excitement in his life. You're not going to find anything in there if that's what you're looking for. No drugs. You know, James got a bit eager as well the other day.
What do you mean?
He broke in. At least he had the decency to wait until I wasn't in. Reckon he must have taken at least 1.5 grand's worth.
James isn't a thief. He might be a drunk and a liar, but he hasn't got the audacity to steal.
But as you can imagine, he's a courageous man. And when a mere business arrangement flips on its side, it takes the man who signed up to it with it.
So what's this? James just thought he'd return the favour, did he? I may not have a cent to my name, but I'll still put you in prison.
Go ahead. Put me in jail, and you'll never see the other end of the deal.
You know, you think you've got a keep, don't you? Standing up there above everybody else. But do you know what the awful truth is? Your business scene will fall flat on its face. You know, a company demands cooperation. It demands that the people that work for it are dependent upon one another. Do you trust your client, Sydney?
I could ask you the same question, Henry. You know as little about me as you do about yourself.
Well, at least if you were in prison, I know I was the man that put you there.
Look, I don't know how the drugs got there, alright? I mean, why don't you just go and ask James yourself?
Well, I would if I could, huh? But things aren't exactly very good between us at the moment. I'm sure James has told you we don't see eye to eye. Not a word, Sydney. I'm going to give you a chance. But only for my own satisfaction. You see, as I see it, you've only got 2 options. Yeah? Option number 1. I go ahead with the arrest. You lose your end of the bargain, and I go and see your clients. Now, that could be a risky business, and I don't know if I want to take that chance. Could go tits up for both of us. So, choice number 2. You help me find James's whereabouts. And in return, I'll let you walk free. Yeah? Free to run your business right down into the ground.
There's no such thing as freedom in today's economy, Henry.
What's it going to be, Sydney?
I've agreed to meet him over the weekend for drinks. Just a quiet chat at the Pearl Maiden, nothing business related.
Oscar, it's done. I've got Sydney. Yeah. He's meeting James on Saturday at Pearl Maiden. 7 o'clock. Yeah. What do you want me to do? $7 o'clock. Tonight's the night to live it up, Sydney. Yeah. Just make sure you get the job done.
Here he is, the man himself. How you doing, James?
You know, surviving.
I was going to say, you look half dead.
Look, I was going to say...
Nice little score though, isn't it? £1,500. What are you going to do with him?
Look, listen a minute, okay? I know I didn't have time to talk last week, but
I know Henry was onto you. Yeah, I got that bit. But that's not the point, is it?
A deal works both ways, James. You agreed cash for info, and that's exactly the rule that I had stuck to. And you're not the only one. I treat every customer, every client with the same liability. And all I ask for in return is fair trade.
I said I'm sorry, right? But you said it yourself, Sid. The deal was for us and us alone.
See, you brought the money anyway.
Yep. All 1.5K. I was kind of hoping that you'd take it now and that's the end of it.
1.5K is not enough, James.
I can't wait forever, Sid. I've got a social worker, a psychotherapist, all fucking paranoid about what I get up to when I'm not at home. Do you know how long I've been living on someone else's terms? I've risked everything I have already.
You've risked everything that I have. I'm playing a dangerous enough game as it is, James. One false move from me, and my job goes down the drain. Look, if time is such an essential factor to you, then why don't you just pay the rest of it up front?
I've told you, I can't afford it.
Well, there we are then. We got no other alternative.
What's wrong, Sid? Having second thoughts?
Just waiting for you, James.
I'll be back in a minute.
Check the bag. Now, what about his jacket? Look in the pockets.
Just give me a minute. No, nothing. Just the money he paid me.
Bring it outside then.
Fuck's sake. All right, just give me a minute.
It's your responsibility, not mine. You're the one that dragged the whole situation down to its knees. You sorted it out.
I did what you asked me to do.
It's going to be the last time as well, isn't it? Eh? All I wanted you to do was go in there.
If you had given me the chance, I would have gotten through to you.
All I wanted to do was to go in there, speak to James, find out what's going on, and come back out here. And you couldn't even do that.
Henry, I'm not your slave.
Oh, well, there's a surprise, huh? People like you are all the same. All you want to do is be better than everybody else, make as much money as you can. Now, give me the bag.
What?
Just give me the bag.
Police, please. I'd like to report a robbery.
Wild, how can I help you?
Bloody quickly, that's how.
Henry, what's happened?
What hasn't happened? I've been set up, Oscar. Police swarming all over my front door.
Christ, you haven't let the cat out of the bag, have you?
Of course I haven't. I'll tell you what though, I've got Sydney's attention.
And?
He ain't having it. He's forced me to take the money.
Right, plan B. Think it's my turn to step in.
I started this. I'm gonna have to finish it now.
Look, I know you should, but look, I know Sydney's routine, Henry, okay? We haven't got much time to waste. He comes out of work in 10 minutes. I need to catch him off guard.
All right, look, if you know what you're doing, okay.
Trust me, if you want an honest answer, you better leave this to me. I'll be parked outside of his office. When he comes out, I'll be there.
All right, okay, all right, thanks.
The cyber guru rises again. Welcome back to what's left of a rather long and unimpressive career, Sydney. You didn't trust me to pay you enough, did you? Why have you suddenly developed a conscience?
How can I trust a man with two faces?
You see, to you, information is power. To me, a distraction. Be pleased to hear today's my one exception. I wouldn't say that I'm willing to forgive you, but at least I won't have to call the police. All I want's a little heads up. The police from Henry's department. They raided his house earlier today, so tell me, who let the cat out of the bag? You know I could destroy your career with a phone call. This information you cling to is a byproduct of what you set yourself up for. You've laid down some bad tracks, Mr. Callahan. Tell you what, if I were in your shoes, I'd admit that I'd ballsed up and say sorry.
When have you admitted to anything, Oscar? Huh? I've seen your resume. There's a blank space under your name. Do you know what it is? A lie. You changed your name thinking that you could start again a new career. Information is power, Oscar. And the headlines don't lie.
I helped you out of your desperation. You should be thankful.
You haven't told James yet, have you? You haven't told him how you used me to help yourself, forcing me to write a blackmail note so you could mislead him, making me feel compromised for meeting him at the bar, only to have Henry spy in on us.
That information is for me, Sid. You're working for yourself now. Recognize this? I don't suppose in your line of work you had the courage to give James an honest opinion, did you?
He's my business partner. I'll give him the opinion that he deserves.
Well, the deal's off, Sid. Where you're going, I lay James's future to rest. When you hear the sirens, you'll see the future for yourself.
Why would you set him up, Oscar? He trusted you to help him. What are you going to prove to yourself?
That life isn't fair. It's not fair. For me, it never has been. I live by my own rules. I get knocked down, I pick myself back up. That's fair trade. I live life by myself. That's independence money can't buy. When I go out of my way to have fun, I get what I want. That's a luxury men like you don't have. Henry? It's Oscar. Oh, I've got more than that. I caught Sydney in the act, and he's given me a name. It was James, Henry. It was James who set you up.
You look like you've seen better days.
Do I still look half dead?
No more than you ought to.
How long's I out?
Long enough for the situation to flip on its head.
What happened, Sydney? What happened to Henry?
We got set up, James. It's not my place to go out and look for answers. I had my own things to sort out, you know? I think I owe you an apology.
You've got nothing to be sorry for.
I'm not a sociologist, James, but I'm sure that I don't have to think too far outside the box to realize you made friends with the wrong people.
Do me a favour, Sid. Don't ever look at me as if I'm stupid.
I know a psychopath when I see one.
Or two. So I guess we're both on the same page now, huh? I was there, James. I saw the whole ordeal for myself. I just thought by helping Henry I could find out what he was up to. I thought the man would have left you two alone and learned his lesson. It was never personal.
Well, I guess we both learned our lesson then. Not to lead yourself down the wrong road.
Now and again in this business, you discover two wrongs eventually make a right.
Yeah, well, I can't say we've both ended up the way we would have liked. Which leads me to ask, how did you end up like this?
Like what?
Here? Now?
As I said, James, I saw the whole thing with Oscar and I got arrested.
But then, how can you be here?
I've been here the whole time. Not quite as long as you, but... This is Northgate Prison, James. Please, don't let me spell it out for you.
But
I don't know. I don't know.
to be honest, Sid, I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but sending me the message, the police are on to you, that was a bit of a misstep, don't you think?
I was trying to protect you. I just thought that if I let you know, you might have had the chance to run before Henry got to you. Oscar stole my phone. He probably got all the evidence that he needed. You know, like you, I'm hell-bent on keeping my job. I'm a fanatic. I poured my heart and soul into building a career for myself. I guess with you, I just took things too far. Traded life for time and money, and I turned myself in. I claimed guilty.
And you'd do that? For your career?
It was either that or lose my future for good. You've been there, done it. I claimed guilty as an accomplice to an incident, and I did it to protect my career. You remember my approach, James, don't you? Security first, business second. That's how I always wanted it.
So, what happened?
My agents, they found the perfect opportunity to close my contract. I took it as a formality, of course. I just accepted that I had been in the wrong to begin with, and they gave me a choice. Either accept it was my responsibility and go down, or watch them destroy everything that I had stood for. I'm a hacker, James. I work online. I find people like yourself and I help them resolve their problems for money. I will never tell anybody that I did it, but then, when I found you, I found the perfect opportunity to earn a decent profit for my work. You know, James, when I saw you on the front page, I wailed at the opportunity to give you your life back. This business is deceitful enough as it is. And I wanted to help. I didn't want to run the risk of another user offering you the wrong deal. So, brought you in. I opted to keep things discreet, didn't I?
So that's why you wanted to meet me in private?
Yeah. Fat load of good that done, huh?
So, how long?
10 years.
And then what?
Back to business as usual. Keeping my business strictly inside my office.
You know, I would have never suspected you.
Well, some secrets preserve friendships.
I know. There's a few I've kept from you too.
And now the deal's off. Now our jobs have pretty much gone downhill. You decide to tell me, do you? It's like you never know me at all, James.
I never committed a crime, Sid. I'm innocent. We, as the military, we look at life like a flagship. We serve one nation. We lead oppression. We steer ourselves towards the universal goal. But we never look at our weaknesses. We never look for those who want to lead us astray.
What happened, James?
Direct intervention. Group of proud and noble soldiers decided to pitch in and give me an early retirement. I would assume the motive was intentional, being the men that they were. But having the edge that they did, I don't think I would ever have known.
You know, James, I can never second guess you. Can you not just give me a direct answer?
Like I told you when we met, my base was attacked. The whole place went up in smoke and ashes. First I thought it was a terrorist agenda. I would never have realised it was an inside job. And with the job that I had, it was my responsibility to handle arms. My responsibility to make sure that our arsenal was secure. But having friends who knew the difference between trust and deceit was just a formality.
I'm assuming the soldiers outweighed you, right? Took advantage of your role and set you up.
In a sense, yeah. Of course, to them, their only objective was blowing up the base. But being in charge of the equipment, the police blamed me first.
But you had everything, James. I mean, one minute you had the fame and fortune, and the next, you're fucking arrested.
Like you said, my case was overlooked. They found enough evidence to conclude that I was guilty. Judgment was passed. End of life.
You were arrested for the very thing you gained fame for.
Which was why I came to you, Sid. The desperation. It's a genuine reaction to what life's done to me. I just wanted back the career I loved.
Looks like we both had our fair share of betrayals.
The reality is, Sid, my life's just gone from bad to worse. I wish I'd have got this punishment back then. Things would have been so much simpler.
But James, you wouldn't be the same person you are today.
So, what was the crime, Sid? What did you plead guilty to?
I can't tell you, James. Some secrets are not only just for my benefit.
I know. It's between us, though, right? And you know something that I don't. Just tell me. You trusted me then. You can trust me now.
Hawk, you know the first sign of madness is talking to yourself. Come on, man, let's get you sorted.
How exactly do you intend to compensate for your life, Mr. Hawke? You certainly made a lasting impression on the people around you. You've made friends, enemies, and you've taken out a loan you can never hope to pay back. You were charged as an accomplice in a high-class property crime and sentenced to probation. You served an ample amount of time, and then with no further reason other than to gain a vengeance, you go out and commit yet another crime. One of which being the distribution of illegal weapons. We recovered a gun from your residence. That and a text send from Sydney's phone. The message was conclusive. Now, I know Sydney, and I have evidence of you on CCTV. And if you're still not convinced, well, Sydney's biggest jackpot to date has been arms dealing.
The only culprit here is Oscar! He's the one who set me up. The one who lied to me. He's the one who should be sitting here now.
Mr. Hawke, you were referred to Oscar Wilde for psychotherapy following brain trauma. His objective is to help you recover, am I right?
If only.
How have you been feeling lately, James?
How do you think I'd be feeling in a situation like this?
Angry, stressed, susceptible to hallucinations in your case. Symptoms I've seen time and time again. The evidence, Mr. Hawke, rests with you. It was your deal with Sydney. You remember, don't you? The arrangement that Oscar himself told you to steer away from.
The deal was for my benefit.
But it is Oscar's right to make sure that you don't step out of line. And it's his right to protect you, which means that when he has evidence of you trading in illegal weapons, and he has evidence for Henry forging a personal suspicion over you, leading to a direct assault, his right is to provide me with the evidence.
I know this probably doesn't mean much to you, but Sydney's legacy is an achievement. He pleaded guilty to protect his business. So you ask yourself, sir, do you think he deserves a sentence?
Do you know what Sydney was sentenced for, James?
No, he never mentioned it.
No, I'm not at all surprised, given your inherent friendship. Sidney claimed guilty as an accomplice to murder. Henry's murder.
No. No. It was self-defense. I mean, it was self-defense. He attacked me. And I attacked him in self-defense.
Mr. Hawke, Henry is dead. Henry died on the 25th of June at approximately 8:30 p.m. Exactly 1 month to this day. His body was recovered from your house, and the coroner officially declared his death as a result of brain damage. I'm sorry, James, but the evidence doesn't get any clearer than that. Now, you're still awaiting further trial, and come tomorrow evening, you'll be taken to the Crown Court for sentencing. I don't need to remind you what the punishment is for murder, but the law is the law, James.
The sentence was carried out last night. Congratulations, Henry. Not many people can fake their death so convincingly anymore.
It was your failure, Oscar, not mine.
You wanted to see him punished, didn't you? He lived in shame. His life would have never been the same again. I'd never doubt myself, Henry. 15 years on the job. Think I'd know the difference between winning and losing. James lost. Don't you understand, Henry? I conceived the perfect plan. It's the art of deception. Like Sidney always used to say, for the right amount of money, men like that'll do anything.
I mean, men like you.
I knew James wanted to clear his name right from the aftermath of the crash. I knew he wanted to get his life back, so I made sure he didn't get it. He knew he could potentially compromise his contract by accepting the offer, but that didn't stop him. After he arranged to meet James in the Stationway Underground, he sent me the location, of course for more payment. I asked his client for a copy of the CCTV after they'd left. I showed it to James. Then I let him know you'd be willing to investigate, find out about the deal. I used the situation to my benefit. You suspected drugs? I had plenty. I gave you the drug so that Sidney would agree to help you. He'd never have suspected James. He had to find out for himself. So I made sure you stayed motivated. Looks like you were all along. By that point, Sidney felt compromised when he found out you were in on it. He couldn't risk losing his contract, even for more money. The last thing he agreed to do the night before was to write a note for James. Sidney told me he'd visit the office all the time. He always had trust issues. After he'd called the police on you, I knew the money could slip back into his hands and the deal would continue. So I had to intercept Sidney quickly and find out the truth. The only way this would work is if you had solid proof it was James who was responsible. When I got to the house, I injected you with the drug so you'd be declared dead. With precise timing and intervention, I set up the perfect crime scene. I was kind of hoping you'd both be arrested. The deal was off anyway.
So you double-crossed him?
What's happened, Henry. I helped you get to James, don't forget that.
And let him die?
It's deception. Maybe I never intended for James to die, but the evidence was there. The gun found in James's house, the text message The evidence on CCTV, all leading to arrest for arms dealing. Like I said, Henry, deception. I used to be a psychic once. Always wanted to be. I couldn't get my life back, so I found a way to relive the memories. Manipulation, deceit. I always had the upper hand. It's like I always say. You can thrive in the same world, but be part of a different day.